hello to all of my BPTV fans, Facebook fans, YouTube fans, and new fans of my guests and old fans of my guests. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. I'm doing my Alan Levine, the Talking Machine show for you. It's my 62nd show. I'm blessed and honored to have these two gentlemen on my show. And could you please tell me your names?
I'm Brendan Schuster.
Vince Charmella.
And I'm not going to go over where they were born, where they grow up, and they live in Bethel Park. I'm not going to say any of that. Do you want to shout out to your family or anything?
Yes, I do. My supporting cast at home is my wife, Erica, my kids, Kogan, Kate, and Kara.
And I remember Kogan came to our show, and he's got to be even stronger and better than what he's last year.
He certainly is. He's growing up quick.
Oh, he's a good young man. He went into the director thing and wanted to direct a little, I think,
He
too.
did.
So he's a good kid. And Vince, I know your family. I've met them and been introduced to them. They're great. Please shout out to them.
All right, so I want to give a shout out to my son Enzo. What's up, buddy? I hope you are having a great day at school. My wife Erica, and I want to give a shout out to Insight Pennsylvania, my kids in psychology and anthropology, and go Bulldogs.
There you go, and that's a nice polo you have.
Thank you.
Definitely. Now I got to ask the major question: what are you guys doing here?
Well, we're here today, Al. We're wanting to give you the update on our progress with the Josh Gibson Foundation Unmarked Grave Initiative.
I've been waiting for it. That's why I'm honored and blessed. And Vince, how did you get involved with Brandon in doing this?
So, long story short, without going too deep in the weeds,
we only got 29 minutes.
Well, we met through Greats in the Graveyard, the book that I wrote, and
great book.
Thank you. And so we were kind of prowling around. We found that there's an abnormal amount of Negro League players who do not have markers in Allegheny County.
Wow.
So we hooked up with Sean Gibson. And
shout out to Sean.
Yeah.
I'm friends with him. Josh Gibson was his grandfather.
Great-grandfather, yeah.
Great-grandfather. He's the home run leader in my mind with what I found out.
I think the greatest ball player of all time.
As a catcher.
Yeah.
Which that's a tough position. I was a pitcher, so I had it easy. I just had to strike them out. No, but that's great how you met and found out this need for what we're going to talk about. And what did you think when you met a guy like this that was interested in all this?
Well, we had a lot in common. We hit the ground running, and
of course, look at the shape you're in.
And I found Hall of Famers in the area, and I realized I'm like, Pittsburgh is really rich in baseball history. Like, this is really neat, fun hobby to do. And when I met up with Vince, he introduced me to these other one cup of coffee type players that I would have never found on my own. But one other thing that I found fascinating was that there are other baseball players that do not have markers. And it was a pet peeve of mine to do something about it. I raised my hand.
I like your thought
process.
process.
This can't be. How is this possible?
How did this get away from everybody?
And this is how we ended up hooking up with Sean and working with the foundation to install markers for these players.
No, this is so great. And then you post stuff down in the attic, and I'm a fan of it.
Yep.
You know
you
that.
Certainly are.
And
a top contributor.
Well, you see, there's no quit. I'm prolific here with stuff. When I like it, I'm passionate about it. And you hooked up with Sean Gibson to do this. And how did that go with talking about what he's doing and what you're here for today?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You lead this. Vince will join in when you pause.
Sure. It's a passion of ours.
Yes.
With just the hobby of finding these baseball players in the Pittsburgh area, and then we found these baseball players that didn't have the markers.
What a process it is. I'm amazed with both of you, what you do in the details and what you do weekly and even daily at times. Just to interject, that amazes me.
Yeah, so it is quite a process. You have to work with the cemetery. We work with Rome Monuments, for these markers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Have to get the approval. So there's quite the process. But to see it.
Well, how does it go with the cemetery? What do you say? What's your opening line?
Well, opening line. We call them up and say, hey. We introduce ourselves and say, we work for the Josh Gibson Foundation.
Right, you lay that out there because that gives you
first, because that's an attention getter.
Oh, amen! I salute you.
And then we just ask. We say, okay, are you aware you have a baseball player with an unmarked grave here's their information, this is their name.
Oh, so you have all the information for them to check the history of it, and who knows what's in the files.
They can
right?
confirm if that's the correct information as to where this person's buried.
Right.
Some we don't have that information, where they're listed
Well, I've
as
seen
unknown.
that. Yeah.
So that's where we have to work with the cemetery to see what they have on record, so we'll see what they can find. They may have that information, they may not. So it is.
Well, look at how many cemeteries and how many people have lived in Pittsburgh, and then look at cemeteries that are closed and in disrepair, because I see it all the time. And I live across from the Presbyterian Cemetery, founded in 1776, right in Bethel, and I love walking through that.
Well, you are from the Hill District, correct?
105 Pride Street,
All
Mercy
right, so,
Hospital.
Heron Hill. There's the cemetery there. We have a guy in there, but the cemetery is abandoned.
Yes.
So Willie Brown was the manager of the 1887 Keystones.
Wow.
So anyway, a Lutheran church is now taking care of it. So, but there's no record of, he's in there because I have his death certificate.
Sure.
But
You don't know where.
no, so we're going to probably put a plaque for him somewhere, like, within these hallowed grounds lies William Brown.
What an honor.
Yeah. So some of them are going to get as
I
close as we
salute
can.
the Hill District.
Yes, I thought you'd like that one. Yeah.
I love it. Thanks for interjecting on that. No, that is great. And how long has this been going on with memorial markers?
Well, it all started in what
And you can hold that up if you would.
I guess officially the fall of 2022, when Josh's wife Helen was in an unmarked grave, and she was then given a marker. And then 2023, the summer of 2023, is when we really got things moving
You're
along
pushing
pretty
it.
quick.
Yeah.
And so
Well, you got to take baby steps. You
Yeah.
can't start sprinting.
it's not going to happen overnight. Yeah.
No,
So we need to-
especially fundraising. And let me put a little thing out because I want to help. And I know times are tough, inflation's bad. But if you got $1 in your pocket or you go to the dollar store, I tell people, hold $1 out and donate to this cause, and you'll find out why I say that. If you can afford more, they appreciate it, I appreciate it. But $1 in any money they get, this helps this great cause. I'm in it 100%.
Well, just last year, we raised enough
turn.
money to install 6 markers. This was our very first marker installed.
That's why I went to it. You see, you got trained me well.
And I can let Vince talk a little bit more of this, but this is Ernest Pud Gooden in Braddock Cemetery.
So he was.
All right, pass it
Sorry,
over.
Monongahela Cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. So,
Yeah.
All right. So his story is, and Smoke and Jim might appreciate this.
Yes, he would.
He worked for the Courier, the original
The
one.
New Pittsburgh Courier.
Yeah, the original.
original.
Yeah, he was also friends with Bill Nunn Sr. You
Yes.
know, so
And Bill Nunn's a legendary Steeler scout. And the New Pittsburgh Courier was one of the largest black newspapers in America, not just Pittsburgh,
Right.
but it was founded here. I have to put it out there with my Hill District roots. And I'll give you a little side note. My dad would take me down there, and one time I met Fritzy Zivic as a 6-year-old kid. I saw his busted up face and all that.
pretty man, isn't he? Right?
Yeah, and I got home and I go, Dad, who names a kid Fritzy? Then he never said black or white, and Italian or Hungarian. I meet a small black guy, and my dad goes, this is Teeny.
Oh, okay.
So I met him in the 60s.
Teeny Harris, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where I'm going with you guys. So carry on with yours. I wanted to get a few stories in early because you're going to overwhelm us now. Carry on.
So his story, Pud Gooden, was somebody I wanted to research. I ended up writing his bio for Sabre. And that photo, now
Brendan's on fire.
I'm going to toot my own horn here. Nobody knew what he looked like for the longest time. I found that photo.
You found this.
Yeah, I found it in his obituary. He was pretty much an unknown, by today's standards. People kind of
Sure.
forgot him. He only played 1921 to 1923 in what would be considered, Major League Baseball when the Negro Leagues first came out.
Exactly.
Played a lot of sandlot ball here in Pittsburgh and played a lot of, like little small teams. And he died very young of a heart attack.
How old?
He
Well, he
was
was 34 in the
yeah, we don't know
obituary.
his exact. He was either born in 1900 or 1901. There's a little bit of discrepancy.
They
So-
were sketchy on birth certificates.
Yeah.
and now your kids have to have Social Securities in the birth certificate.
Right.
Then you didn't get them. I was 9 years old when I got mine in 1965 when I
Wow.
opened a bank account.
So he was, 33, 34 when he, or 32, what was it, 32?
34.
34, yeah.
Numbers don't matter.
Yeah, well, whatever, yeah.
May he rest in peace.
I teach psychology. Math, that's a whole other department.
No degree there.
Yeah, well, they always say, math's always a subject you can count on, right? So there you go.
No pun intended.
Yeah, but so anyway, he died with Bill Nunn Sr., either at his house or in a car going to the hospital. He had a massive heart attack, had no children. His wife, right after the funeral, I found her she was really good friends with Cum Posey's wife.
Yeah.
And then she just vanished. She may have gotten remarried, moved to maybe Atlanta.
Well, when they got married and stuff, they didn't keep real records of all that. Or moved. Yeah.
So he essentially was in an unmarked grave for 90 plus years. He had no children. We tried to track down family. His last name actually was, it's changed. It's Gooden on here, but it was good. It was something else, so it just keeps
That's all
changing.
right.
Yeah. But anyway, long story short, there was no family, so nobody did remember him. And
90 years, and these guys are adventurers. They're like Indiana Jones. And they're out there going out there traipsing through fields and cemeteries, houses, going to neighborhoods. So I salute you with the hours and time you put in.
And the cemeteries, and I'll Brandon jump on this after this, they've been very, very accommodating. We've not had a no or a, no thank you.
Everybody's been receptive.
Absolutely. Yes. And I'm going to give a shout out to
Way to go.
Monongahela Cemetery in Braddock, and I think her name was Lisa. She was just so nice. They paid for the footers, so we didn't have to get the put the money out for that.
I understand. That is great.
The gentleman, there's actually another Negro League player. You don't have a photo of him, named Dave Allen. He was the second guy. He's maybe like 300 feet away from Gooden.
Wow.
I did some research. He's going to be. We're writing a book together. He's going to be in our new book.
Congratulations, guys! I can't wait.
Yeah. So
he wasn't related to Richie Allen, one of my favorite ball players.
But it's so funny because he was only they're two guys, unmarked graves, less than maybe 300 feet apart, and Dave Allen played. The last time he suited up to play was 1888. So we're going way back into the
time machine.
Yeah.
We're going back here.
Yeah. So go ahead, man.
And you don't have a picture of him. Before we go on,
no photo.
You guys are storytellers, and I followed base my whole life and have read history, not as in depth as you guys. Could you tell them how popular and how communities reacted to baseball since whenever it was founded? Maybe not by Abner Doubleday, because there were things even earlier than him during the Revolutionary War, but I don't want to go there. But tell them how popular, you can start out, Brandon, how popular baseball was everywhere in every community. People don't realize that.
Yeah, I mean, staying focused on the Negro Leagues, they would move church back an hour to go to a game. If there's a game scheduled at 11 o'clock, church, and you don't mess with church,
No.
So they would adjust church times.
But they got blessed doing it, so that helped.
So I mean, everyone would go to the games to watch their favorite players.
Right.
So it was really just, something that people would just flock to.
Yeah, and this wasn't really with the Negro Leagues. This was what communities did, white, black, whatever, all over America. People get away from it because they think it was the grand national pastime. It was just a moniker. No, they lived it. And that's what you guys bring out. That's why you see I'm pumped up.
It's a fun topic. And, companies had industrial leagues. Like if you worked for the steel company, they had a baseball team, and they might play the Gimbals company down. And that was a way
Good old name, yeah.
Yeah, to build
What about
camaraderie.
Horns?
Yeah,
and
Horns.
Kaufman's.
Josh Gibson started out on one of those teams as well. I think he was an elevator boy. Was it Gimbals or Horns? It was one of the two. And the reason they brought him on was so he could play baseball before he worked for the air brake company.
Okay. Yeah, I'd heard that. Yeah. No, it's interesting. And what's weird is with my history in the 70s working downtown at this Ralph's Discount, they had an elevator operator in our back elevator. You had to move the handle and stuff. But we were open on Saturdays and deliveries came. Guess what 15-year-old Alan learned to do? Run an elevator.
Nice.
And they had them in all the major elevators in Pittsburgh. There'd be a gentleman there, and what floor? And they'd move it and go up. Okay, here you go. The doors would open. Not like today. Where's that music coming from? No, but I have memories of that. So thanks for sharing that. No, and that's amazing that this was everywhere.
Yep.
When do you think? I always had this question. When do you think black baseball started? Do you have any idea? I know it's a wild question. to
There
ask.
is a team that played in Jamaica, New York, the Jamaica Hills, whatever that
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
New York. I want to say it was going back to like 1860s. I think that was the first all-black team, but that was just they played against other teams. There was no league, you know.
Well, yeah, white and black. After the Civil War, there was a lot of togetherness there, and then whatever happened politically, no doubt about it. But I always wondered with the 1867 with the Cincinnati Reds starting.
Right.
I'm like, it couldn't have just popped up. It's like with known history, things happen before an event. Thanks for answering that. So
Yeah.
most likely, say after the Civil War. Or,
Yeah, more like 1860s, 1870s in
yeah,
that area.
Until then they
So
really
it
got
was
things
like
going.
a parallel universe, and some of it intermingled early.
Right.
Yeah, so around that era, I mean, the pre-Negro Leagues, before the actual Negro Leagues was founded,
Yeah.
in 1920. You're talking early 19th century.
No, that's what I'm getting at. That you have that pre-stuff.
Yeah.
Just like NBA, there's pre-NBA.
Yeah, one of these guys here.
Go ahead. I piqued your interest. Come on.
Yeah, Emmett Bowman, who Vince mentioned. We're writing a book together, but he's one of the chapters.
This
So
is great.
We had Emmett Bowman installed. He's at Coriopolis Cemetery. He was installed in the fall of last year, but he played in
Congrats.
he played in the pre-Negro Leagues, 1904 to 1911.
There you go.
Okay.
7 years, baby.
So there's Emmett Bowman right here. So he's my pride and joy. It was really nice to see that marker installed.
Here, I'll put that on the pile.
Actually, the guy right below him was the same story. That is Lefty Pangburn. And Lefty was the same story. He played in Minnesota 1910, 1911.
Okay. Then that was it.
Yeah, he was from Elizabeth, PA. And
Wow.
so came back here. And
Elizabeth's just a small town, too.
yeah, and there's another Negro League player up the hill from him where he's buried. He does have a marker named Mule, was it Armstrong?
Armstrong, yep.
Yeah, Mule Armstrong. And they
Keep dropping names.
They
This is great
they traveled
history.
all around the country playing, and he came back here and he worked. And when we put the marker in, one of the things we have to do before we can essentially put a marker in is we have to find out, is there a family claim
That's
to the
what
plot?
I was going to ask.
You know,
Thank you for explaining
We
it.
can't just drop a marker on anybody, so we have to.
Well, there's respect for this.
Right, so
Hence, that's why you're doing this.
yeah, no family members that have a direct claim. So there are Pangburns in the area, but we've tried to reach out. Nobody's said,
Got
hey,
back, yeah.
And as far as we know, he didn't have any children, so,
Yeah, that limits some
It's
of it.
funny too. Emmett Bowman, he had a brother George who played with Lefty.
Wow.
So, but George is buried in Iowa. But
Oh, there
anyway,
we go. We
there's
traveling there
connections.
too. All right.
So-
No, this is great stuff, and I'm just going to go down the list here because I don't usually prepare for it, so I'm winging it, and these guys can double wing. So tell us what's up next because these names are just great in the history.
Okay. So what? I mean, we have
Yeah, hold it up.
Emmett Campbell. He played in 1913 Homestead Grace.
Wow, there we go.
He's out in
Robinson Run.
Robinson Run Cemetery. One of the things that I like that I enjoyed about this adventure
Sure.
is the scenery you see. It's the process to get there.
Yeah.
You see more every day, and I really enjoyed going to the cemetery. Just
that-
driving you through farmland and the back area.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well,
he-
look where people got buried, sometimes on their own farm.
He is fun to see.
Oh, that's great. Hey, thanks for sharing these things. Carry on. What's this main thing we're here to talk
Yeah,
about?
so-
donate, please.
Yeah, so like I said, we got 6 guys installed last year. We have 5 teed up for this year, so now we have a total of 11 since we started.
Great.
We've identified 20 ball players in the Allegheny County.
That is
Okay,
great.
so we're now more than halfway home. All right, so
Push them over the top.
The next few we can get to like 16. You know, there's a few others that are kind of the
Little sketchy?
Yeah, a little sketchy.
I'll say it.
But we're asking you for help to raise money.
Well,
for
it's
these
hard to
markers.
do and ask for donations, but the talking machine got to say back to please donate $1, $5, $10. If you can afford more, they'll be more than happy. Look at the great work they're doing and look at the work and time they're putting in. And why I salute them, they're not getting paid to
No.
do any of this. This is truly volunteer money goes 100%.
Absolutely.
I'll even hold it up because get a donation in here.
Yeah,
now. Yeah, go ahead, say it.
www.jgfmemorialmarkers.org.
Hold
We
it.
also
I'm
have a
old. You
GoFundMe
got-
page as
I'm
well.
old. You got to repeat that.
www.jgfmemorialmarkers.org. Or we have a GoFundMe page that you can visit as well.
All right. And again, the organization is,
Josh Gibson Foundation Initiative.
I know it's obvious, but we got to say the
Yep.
obvious, brother. Yeah, very good. What do you have next here?
So this was just a picture of the GoFundMe page,
Well, we need that.
and then just a picture of so far our progress.
And those,
Right.
that money, all there, is pretty much gone now because we were,
With 11 of these markers.
Yes.
honestly,
Wow.
we with Sean and Brandon and I and Chris and all
Yeah.
of Chris Cox is another member of the board,
Okay.
and Tom and Debbie, we all talked about this originally. We're like, well, how much are we going to get done in 1 year? Because it's kind of an unknown. This is the first time this has
And
been
you
done.
guys both work.
Yeah, I work full time.
And you have families.
Yes.
All of us have full-time jobs, and it just like a juggernaut, man. It just started rolling, pretty quickly. And once Put Gooden was in, and then Dave Allen was the second. It just was like every couple weeks, it was like
Right.
boom, boom, boom. The money there, I thought, was going to last us 2 to 3 years. It was going to
Oh,
take a while,
wow.
but we burned through it because we did so well, and we paid for 2. And
It's a double-edged sword, as
Right,
they say,
right.
truly.
Highwood Cemetery was the last cemetery we got this past year in
Where are
2023.
they at?
Over on Brighton Road or Brightwood Road? Over
Brightwood?
on the north side.
Brighton, I think.
Brighton, yeah.
Sorry. We got Brightwood here.
Yeah, over by Uniondale Cemetery, right next door.
Okay, I know about that area.
The boxer, my great-great-granddad's buried there. So
Mention his name.
Jack McClellan. And
Great book.
Yes, thank you. And Josh Gibson's brother, Jerry Gibson's actually buried there, Negro League player. He does have a marker. He was military, so he has a military marker.
Okay.
But there were 2 guys over there. Was it Win Harris
Mm-hmm.
and Frank Miller? Frank Miller was another guy. The last time he played was 1888.
Look at how these guys have the facts. They've lived it and they're breathing it.
Yeah.
I'm honored to have you again on the Talking Machine Show, number 62.
Yeah, so a lot of
Carry
these guys,
on.
like we mentioned, one guy, there's 3 guys that we have teed up in the Greenwood Cemetery. One guy has been in an unmarked grave since 1944.
Oh, my goodness.
Another guy, I think, was 1981. So, but some of these guys that we're mentioning, with Emmett Bowman, I mean, he died in 1912.
Yes.
So over 100 years ago, that have been
Yeah.
in an unmarked marker where
Yeah,
family,
111,
friends were not
111.
able to visit.
Or no,
but
112.
now that they have the
24.
marker, people can go and see. And what we do, the Josh
And
Gibson
they can
Foundation,
honor them.
we have a sign with the QR code, so visitors can go and see and click on the QR code.
See the information.
And now pull up an information on that player and learn more about him. So it's not just a baseball player. It's more educating those that are visiting the cemetery as well.
Well, you're showing that they were a living person like we are.
Yes.
It's not in a book or whatever else or a story. It's real. And
So,
they're from this area.
Guys like Emmett Bowman. I mean, he was a pioneer. Before the Negro League started in 1920. So
That's why I wanted to
without
bring
him,
it out. When were they started?
Without him, we may not have had the Negro Leagues, and then eventually we evolved to 1947 with Jackie Robinson, and you always
Yeah.
have to start somewhere.
And then throw in Gus Greenlee, a gambler.
Yep.
Look what he did. Built the first black stadium in the country
Right.
here in Pittsburgh. And he was a gambler, and people don't understand about gambling. The Rooney family grew up gambling. Look what they've become. They're part of the community. They were grabbing nickels, dimes, quarters, and bootleg, whatever. And Gus Greenlee was like that, helping the community. He did charity work, fed people, clothed them, put them in homes, did all kind of things. And you hear gambler, and they go, what kind of person does that?
Well, that's the negative connotation, but he was the bank for a lot of people because,
That's the key point.
yeah, an African-American man couldn't go down to, whatever bank was downtown and ask for
We
a
won't
loan.
mention names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gus would be, hey, I'll lend you the money.
Here.
And a lot of times he didn't really ask for it back. So he was kind of a Robin Hood-ish figure to that neighborhood, the Hill
Well,
District.
they were good people, is
Yeah.
what I'm getting at. But he was a smart guy and a sharp guy and
Absolutely.
a savvy guy. Look what he did and parlayed it into the best teams. And imagine building a stadium.
Yeah, he was an amazing man. And
That's not even talked about much for our history here. We worry about Exposition Park.
he was also the first manager of the first African American champion, John Henry Lewis.
Yes.
Yeah. So little
Hey,
boxing diversion right there. I know
well,
it's limited time, but I just wanna
we
throw
got
that in there.
about, we're almost at the 2-minute warning. And what I like to bring out is first, donate money to this. You got the information. This will be up at the end of the show. You'll see it. Please donate that dollar. I'm adamant about that. You know I'm consistent and persistent. It's all for a good cause. 100%. They burnt through the $7,000 some dollars. They need up to $30,000 estimate to do this, and there's probably more than 20 out there. I'm not doubting them, but I'm an optimist that people miss them. So help them. How would you get others to help you and inspire them to do what you do? Because I'm impressed by it.
I
Go ahead, Vince.
honestly think that, you know, the greatest gift you can give as a historian is giving history back to the community. So we're hoping that this, you know, who knows? Somebody might walk up to Emmett Bowman's grave, like, you know, a young child, and go, you know, I want to learn more about him. And that just sparks a, you know, it just starts a snowball.
Or how
rolling
about
down.
a teacher?
Right.
Or how about a movie maker? We have a lot of movies in our
Absolutely.
area. I'm thinking this would be a great legacy film of Negro baseball.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Puts that in.
you know, being a part of history, whether you donate to the cause, you know, you go to the cemetery and you find these guys on your own.
And you guys take pictures, you interact with people. And
Absolutely, and then it may not just have to be baseball related. One thing that Vince and I are going to work on in the summer is doing a YouTube video of all the spots that we've had markers installed.
I'd love
And
it.
do an intro to the player and talk about that. So even if you may not be focused on sports and baseball, it's putting a YouTube video together.
Well,
it could be-
Pittsburgh was founded in 1758. There was Fort Duquesne before that. The British were here. The French were here. Guess what? People forget that stuff. I'm here to revive it. You're in my wheelhouse. I love history, all history. And it's all good because we learn from it. And you can learn yourself how to go out. They're taking pictures. They're doing stuff.
One other thing too, real quick,
You
Al,
can do 2 more things.
is I did a presentation with Seneca Valley to 127th graders.
That
to-
is great.
To educate them on the foundation and the history that's surrounded.
You're doing what I want people to do.
That's around us. So it's teaching them about the history that we have, and they're actually doing a school project to help raise money for one of our markers.
Way
So-
to inspire them. Way to go. And Vince, any closing words? Brendan
you.
had a great thing.
Yeah, you know, you can't top that, and that's awesome. I was going to say thank you for having us on today, and we appreciate everybody, you know, who donates, and, you know, go out and check them out. They're pretty cool, you know, the markers.
Yeah, and even if you can't donate, tell somebody about it. You know, I'm trying to squeeze those dollars out for you because you guys are doing great things. And I want to thank both of you for being great returning guests.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Al.
You're so welcome. And thanks all of you for watching all my shows. Number 62's in the hopper. I'm going to have number 64 coming out with a great drummer from Kingdom Come. Stay tuned. Thanks for the great feedback. See you next time.